What happens when one of Hollywood's biggest names sits down for what should be a straightforward interview only to be blindsided by a host ready to launch a personal attack? You're about to see one of the most intense celebrity interviews ever aired. What starts as a polite conversation quickly spirals into a fiery exchange, with diplomacy tossed aside faster than you can say lights, camera, action. This is the shocking account of how Tom Cruise's appearance shifted from a simple promotional stop to full-blown controversy in under 20 minutes, and how Joy Behar's confrontational style completely blew up in her face. But before we unravel this jaw-dropping showdown, don't forget to subscribe and share your thoughts in the comments, because this story has more plot twists than an entire Mission Impossible movie. It all began like any other morning at the View studio. Tom Cruise walked in to promote his latest action-packed blockbuster, charming everyone backstage as usual. Whoopi Goldberg kicked things off with her signature grace, introducing Tom to loud applause from the audience. Tom took his seat confidently, visibly relaxed as Sarah Haynes jumped into the interview. "Tom, tell us about the training for those amazing stunts in the film," she asked, genuinely intrigued. Tom's face lit up, excited to share. "You know, Sarah, I trained for months. I worked with top stunt experts in the industry, and I've always felt that doing my own stunts brings something real to the screen. That authenticity makes a difference. You feel it when you're watching, and it connects with people." Sunny Hostin leaned in, clearly engaged. "What was it like working with your co-stars on those intense scenes?" she asked. "They were incredible," Tom said, his energy rising. "Everyone on set gave their all. When you're dangling from helicopters or climbing skyscrapers, you have to trust your team completely. The teamwork was just amazing." For a while, the conversation moved smoothly. Tom shared fun behind-the-scenes stories while the audience stayed completely locked in. But one person hadn't said much. Joy Behar. She sat with her arms crossed, silently watching, her expression unreadable but clearly calculating. Then, about 10 minutes in, Joy finally leaned forward. The subtle shift in her posture changed. "Everything." Tom stopped mid-sentence as all eyes turned toward Joy. She stared him down, her voice sharp and cold as she spoke. "So, Tom, let's talk about what viewers are really curious about. Your ties to Scientology have been a point of controversy for years. Many feel you use your fame to recruit people into what's been described as a dangerous cult. How do you defend being part of an organization accused of harassment, abuse, and tearing families apart?" A heavy silence blanketed the studio. Sarah's mouth dropped open. Sunny looked uncomfortable. Whoopi raised her eyebrows, darting glances between Tom and Joy. The friendly smile disappeared from Tom's face. His body language shifted. He leaned back, his jaw tightening as he took it all in. When he spoke, his tone was calm but firm. "Joy, I came here to talk about my film and my work. I believe in religious freedom, and I have every right to practice my faith just like anyone else. Attacking someone's personal beliefs on national television isn't right, especially when it has nothing to do with the movie I'm here to promote." But Joy wasn't backing down. She leaned even closer, her voice sharper now. "You can't just brush off the serious concerns people have. Former members have come forward with stories of abuse, forced separation from families, and psychological manipulation. As someone who publicly supports this organization, don't you think you bear some responsibility for the harm that's been caused?" Tom's patience was clearly wearing thin, but he held his ground. "Joy, I think you're seriously misinformed, and I don't appreciate you using this platform to push what is essentially prejudice against people of faith. I've never coerced anyone into anything, and it's offensive to suggest I've caused harm simply by practicing my religion." Joy fired back instantly. "Prejudice, is that what you're calling it? Tom, is it prejudice to question an organization that's been sued repeatedly, investigated by the FBI, and even banned in multiple countries? Is it bigotry to allow people who claim they were abused and traumatized to speak out? What's really going on here is that you can't stand being questioned about something you know is impossible to defend." Whoopi tried to step in. "Maybe we should but Joy cut her off with a stern glare and a firm wave. No, Whoopi, this matters. Tom came onto our show, and our audience deserves transparency. Tom's jaw tightened, his hands gripping the arms of his chair with growing frustration. Joy, you're being deeply disrespectful, not just to me, but to millions who share my beliefs. You're taking a few extreme cases and using them to condemn an entire religion. That's the very definition of prejudice. I won't sit here and let that happen, Joy returned his anger with a cold smile. Tom, I'm not criticizing your right to believe whatever you choose. I'm questioning your decision to support a group that's hurt so many. And frankly, your reaction says it all. If your beliefs were truly innocent, you wouldn't be this defensive. Tom's posture shifted, his voice sharpening with controlled rage. Defensive? You ambush me on Live TV with a choreographed attack on my personal faith and call me defensive? This is exactly the kind of behavior that breeds division and hate. Joy didn't flinch. A choreographed attack? These are standard questions any serious journalist would ask. The fact that you're so rattled by them speaks volumes. Tom's voice began to rise. Rattled? No, I'm appalled. Appalled that you'd weaponize your platform to attack someone's faith. Appalled that I showed up in good faith and got ambushed like this? Good faith? Joy scoffed. Tom, you've spent decades promoting this organization. You've recruited others, defended policies that tore families apart. Don't talk to me about good faith when you've helped cause so much harm. Sarah tried to step in. Maybe we could— No, Tom snapped, voice sharp and unwavering. Joy, you've gone beyond questions. You're making accusations. Now, this isn't journalism, it's bullying with a national audience. Joy's eyes narrowed, her voice turning cold. Bullying? I'm holding you accountable. Something you probably don't experience much in your insulated world of yes men and sycophants. Tom shot back, fire in his eyes. Accountable for what? For practicing my faith? For believing in something that gives my life purpose? You're accusing me of thought crimes, Joy? Thought crimes? Joy laughed bitterly. Tom, when those beliefs result in real harm, when your influence pulls vulnerable people into an organization with a history of abuse, those aren't just thoughts anymore. The atmosphere in the studio turned electric. Tom leaned forward, voice low and intense. You're spreading hate and lies and calling it journalism. That's not just unethical, it's vile. Joy's face went stone cold, her words razor sharp. Vile? You want to talk about vile? Let's talk about families destroyed. People harassed for speaking out. Children torn away from their parents. That's vile, Tom. Tom's composure cracked further. You're throwing out the most extreme claims, many of which have been dismissed in court, and treating them as fact. That's not journalism. That's a smear campaign. A smear campaign? Joy raised her voice. I'm quoting court records, sworn statements, and official FBI files. These aren't wild accusations, they're legally established truths. Sonny finally found a gap and nervously chimed in. Maybe we should take a different approach. But Joy spun around, firm and unrelenting. No, Sonny, this is the exact conversation we need to have. When someone uses their celebrity to support something this controversial, they should expect to answer real questions. Tom glared across the table, fury in his voice. Real questions, Joy? You haven't asked me a single thing about my actual role or what I've personally experienced. You've just gone straight into personal attacks and wild accusations. Fine, Joy said coolly, leaning back with a slight smirk. Let me ask you directly then. Have you ever personally seen any of the things former members talk about? The disconnection rules, the forced labor, the punishments? I'm not going to dignify that with a response, Tom answered coldly. His expression stiff, Joy jumped on it immediately. See, you can't answer because you know it's true. You've seen it happen, you've been a part of it, and you're too much of a coward to own up to it. The word coward hit Tom like a slap. His face turned red, and when he finally spoke, his voice was tight and barely in check. Did you just call me a coward? If the shoe fits, Joy said with a shrug. Someone with courage would answer the question honestly? Whoopi tried to calm the room. Okay, everyone just take a breath. But Tom wasn't backing down. No, Whoopi, he cut in, raising his voice. I want Joy to explain how asking someone to break religious confidentiality makes them brave. Joy let out a sharp, mocking laugh. Religious confidentiality? Is that what you call covering up abuse? That's it, Tom growled, starting to rise from his chair. I'm not going to sit here and take this. Sit down, Tom, Joy snapped. You don't get to walk away just because the conversation's uncomfortable. Reluctantly, Tom sat back down, but his body was visibly tense, like a storm ready to break. Joy, he said, his tone bitter, I've worked in this business for over 40 years. I've done thousands of interviews, some of them incredibly tough. But never have I been treated with such disrespect and unprofessionalism as you're showing right now. Unprofessional? Joy scoffed, her voice dripping with sarcasm. You want to talk about unprofessional? What's unprofessional is using your celebrity status to recruit people into an organization that ruins lives. What's unprofessional is profiting from a group accused of human trafficking. Human trafficking? Tom repeated in disbelief. Now, you're just making things up. Oh, really? Joy snapped. What do you call it when people are forced to work for free or nearly nothing? When they're stopped from leaving? When their passports are confiscated? Sarah tried to cut in. Maybe we should— Sarah, please, Joy interrupted firmly. This matters. Tom needs to be held accountable. Tom's jaw was clenched so tight it looked painful. Joy, the things you're describing, those are labor violations that could happen anywhere. That's not what my religion is about. Your religion? Joy echoed with a mocking tone. Is it part of your religion to stalk reporters who criticize you, or to hire private investigators to chase down former members? I have never done any of that, Tom hissed through his teeth. Maybe not you directly, Joy shot back. But you're definitely supporting the organization that does. Tom leaned in, voice low and dangerous. Joy, you're accusing me of criminal behavior based on conspiracy theories and long-debunked stories. That's not just offensive, it could be legally actionable. Joy's eyes gleamed. Are you threatening to sue me, Tom? Is that how your group handles criticism, by silencing people with lawsuits? I'm not threatening anyone, Tom said. I'm pointing out that you're making serious false claims about me on national television. False claims? Joy laughed out loud. Tom, everything I've said is a matter of public record. If you want to sue me for stating facts, go ahead. It wouldn't be the first time your organization tried to bury the truth through legal threats. Sonny looked visibly uneasy. Joy, maybe we should talk about Tom's new movie. His movie? Joy cut in. Sonny, how can we even think about discussing his film when he's using the profits to support a group accused of mistreating people? Tom, finally lost it. Accused? Joy, you've been speaking like everything you've said is fact now. Suddenly it's just accusations? They're accusations backed by hundreds of witnesses, Joy fired back. Many of whom were discredited in court, Tom countered quickly. Some were, sure, Joy admitted, but not all. And when hundreds of people say the same things over decades, the pattern is impossible to ignore. Tom shook his head, disgusted. You're doing exactly what was done to Jewish people in the 1930s, taking isolated claims out of context and using them to vilify an entire group. The moment Tom drew a comparison to the 1930s persecution of Jewish people, the audience audibly gasped. Joy's expression drained of color and turned to pure outrage. Did you seriously just compare my questions to Nazi propaganda? Her voice trembled with fury. I was talking about your tactics, Tom responded, his tone ice cold. The way you present information, dismiss any evidence that challenges your views, and stir fear and hate toward a religious group that's disturbingly familiar. Joy's anger boiled over. Tom, that is the most insulting thing I've ever heard on this show. You're accusing me of being a propagandist because I'm asking hard questions about an organization with a history of hurting people. Tom's disbelief was written all over his face. Hard questions? Joy, you haven't offered one shred of evidence. You've just made accusations and expected me to disprove them. I don't need to bring the evidence, she snapped back. It's all publicly available for anyone who's willing to look. Then why didn't you bring it today? Tom challenged. Joy hesitated briefly, but quickly regained her footing. Because I expected honesty from you. I didn't think you'd dodge and resort to making offensive analogies. Abruptly, Tom stood, the scrape of his chair echoing across the set. I came here to talk about my film, to answer real, professional questions. Instead, you've turned this into a witch hunt built on rumors and conspiracy. Sit down, Tom, Joy ordered. This interview isn't over, but Tom didn't budge. His tone was final. It is for me, Joy. I won't stay here and be attacked for my beliefs by someone with an obvious agenda. Her voice rose, sharp with conviction. My agenda is truth, Tom, to speak for the silenced. To stand up for the abused. No, he said bluntly. Your agenda is ratings. You're using people's trauma to stir controversy and boost your show's numbers. His words landed hard. Joy's face flickered with emotion before settling into a fierce glare. How dare you, she hissed. How dare you accuse me of exploiting victims for views? Tom met her gaze, unflinching. Everything you've done here screams viral clip. You've tossed aside real journalism for shock value and drama. Joy's voice broke with indignation. I'm asking the questions no one else dares to ask, questions others are too starstruck or too afraid to confront. You're not asking questions, Tom countered. You're showboating. You're targeting someone you disagree with and pretending. It's journalism. Joy stood up too, squaring off with him. Showboating? Let's talk about the real bullies. The ones who stalk, harass, and silence anyone who speaks out against your group. What about the reporters who've been sued just for doing their jobs? I've never bullied anyone, Tom said through clenched teeth. Maybe not directly, Joy shot back. But you support those who do? Every dollar, every public endorsement, every time you help them recruit, you're responsible. Tom's voice dropped, deadly quiet. You're accusing me on live TV of being part of criminal activity with no evidence. That's not journalism, that's slander. Slander? Joy let out a bitter laugh. Truth is the best defense. And the truth is your organization has a history of abuse. According to who? Tom snapped. Disgruntled ex-members? Trashy tabloids? Lawyers chasing a payday? Joy's eyes burned. According to the FBI? According to court documents? According to sworn testimony. Are you really saying federal agents and judges are all out to get you? I'm saying, Tom said deliberately, you're taking a few bad moments and using them to paint an entire faith as corrupt. That's not accountability, that's prejudice. Joy's voice cracked with intensity. It is not prejudice to demand answers from powerful institutions. It's not bigotry to investigate harm. Finally, Whoopi broke in, trying to regain control. All right, I think we need a commercial break. No, Joy snapped, spinning to face her co-host. We're not cutting away. Tom still hasn't answered the real questions. Tom stared at her, stunned, as the air in the studio grew colder by the second. I don't owe you any answers, Joy. This isn't a courtroom, and you're not the one asking the questions under oath. Maybe not, Joy shot back, but the viewers have a right to know who they're really supporting when they buy tickets to your movies. Her words struck Tom like a punch. His face drained of color, then turned bright red with fury. You're seriously implying that people should boycott my films because of my faith? I'm saying, Joy replied with a chilly smile, people deserve to make informed choices about where they spend their money. Now visibly trembling, Tom replied, what you're pushing here is religious discrimination. You're telling people to judge my career based on what I personally believe? Joy didn't flinch. Your faith becomes a public matter when you use your fame to promote it. I have the right to speak about my beliefs, Tom said, just like you do. My beliefs, Joy replied sharply, don't involve an organization accused of violating human rights. That did it. Tom's composure snapped. Accused, Joy, not proven. Not convicted? Accused? And you're treating accusations like they're undeniable facts. They are facts, Joy said firmly. There are multiple accusers, consistent stories, documented patterns. Documented lies, Tom erupted. You're spreading falsehoods, Joy, and doing it just because you hate my beliefs. Joy smirked like she'd been waiting for this explosion. There it is, the real Tom Cruise, not the polished star, but the furious cult follower who can't take criticism. That word cult was a breaking point. Tom's expression went ice cold. His voice, now dangerously low, cut through the studio. You just crossed a line, Joy, one you don't get to walk back. What line? She pushed. The line where I call out your organization for what it is? Tom calmly began removing his microphone. Every motion was deliberate, controlled. The line where you abandon all professionalism and expose yourself as a biased talk show host pushing an agenda? Don't walk away, Joy's voice rose. Don't run just because it's getting uncomfortable. Tom placed the mic on his chair. With care, this stopped being a conversation the moment you chose to attack my faith instead of asking about my film. Joy scoffed. How do we separate your film from your religion when your beliefs support an organization known for tearing families apart? Tom turned to the camera, now addressing the audience directly. Everyone watching, I came here today to talk about a movie I'm incredibly proud of made by hardworking people. Instead, I was ambushed by a prejudiced interrogation built on lies, Joy practically yelled. You can't just make a speech and walk out, Tom. These people deserve answers. Tom turned back to her, calm but firm. They came for entertainment, Joy, not for the hatred and division you just served them. I won't be part of it. Hatred? Joy's voice cracked. The real hatred comes from the organization you stand behind, an organization that's broken families and ruined lives. Tom was already walking off the stage. The only hatred I see today is coming from you. Joy, you spent 20 minutes attacking someone's faith while hiding behind a journalistic mask. That's not just unethical, it's un-American. Un-American? She called out. Tom, what's un-American is using your celebrity to recruit people into a harmful group. At the edge of the stage, Tom turned around one last time. Joy, what's un-American is using your platform to push religious bias. What's un-American is setting up a public ambush and pretending it's journalism. What's un-American is trying to destroy someone's reputation over their beliefs. Joy followed, her tone urgent and rising. These aren't just personal beliefs, Tom. When your group causes pain, breaks families, silences critics, those beliefs become public concern. Tom stopped. He faced her one final time. Everything you've thrown at me today has come from rumors and secondhand accusations. You haven't shown a single piece of solid evidence. You ignored everything I said. That's not journalism. That's a witch hunt. A witch hunt? Joy gasped. Tom, I'm doing what any responsible journalist should do, ask questions. No, Tom said, his voice final. What you're doing is staging a public execution based on your own prejudice. And I refuse to be your target. With that, Tom Cruise walked off the stage. Joy Behar stood alone, still shouting as the cameras kept rolling. The studio audience sat frozen in silence, stunned by one of the most explosive interviews in television history. Joy turned back to her co-hosts, her face flushed with rage and maybe embarrassment. An awkward, heavy silence followed until Whoopi finally broke it. Yeah, she said softly. We definitely need to go to a commercial. And that's how one of Hollywood's biggest names went from honored guest to viral controversy in under 20 minutes, all because Joy Behar let her personal agenda override the standards of professional journalism. So now we ask you, was Tom right to walk away, or should he have stayed and defended himself? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more raw celebrity moments you won't see anywhere else.